Hello and welcome to our Lunch and Learn series, holiday tips and tricks for caregivers. So welcome. Thank you all for coming. It's great to see you. And my name is Jacqueline Gallant. I'm the Support Services Coordinator in the West Prince area. So I hope you enjoy. Uh, so before we get too far into things, I want you to just take a moment to think about how you feel about the upcoming holiday season. And when you're thinking about that, if you could use one word, and how you would describe how you're feeling. So just take a moment and think about that, and then we'll share some possible feelings and emotions that people can be experiencing right now. So, some possible answers to this could be dread, anxiety, sadness, excitement, concern, cautious optimism, grief, overwhelm, hopeful, and a bit of worry, maybe. So many caregivers or people in general really can be feeling all of these things. And how you guys feel and how we all feel is normal, no matter what the emotion is. We're all human, and that comes with emotion of all kinds. So you're not alone. The holidays can certainly stir some of these things up for sure. So it's just, yeah, it's important to just give that some space. So sometimes what is hard about the holidays isn't really about the holidays. It's about some underlying things that are happening that we there might be unresolved things for sure. The current state of what's going on. So that can happen for all of us for sure. There can be family dynamics, unrealistic expectations, a series of things, stress and overcommitment, uh, all of that. So sometimes it's not just the holidays, it's the underlying things around it. So before we get into some tips and tricks and all of that, I just wanted to bring up being a caregiver and what that sort of looks like. Some people don't consider themselves a caregiver at all. They're just looking out for a family member or a friend. So this looks different for everyone. A caregiver is someone who's responsible for looking after another person. So that could be personal care. It could be help with medical care, coordination of services, advocacy, assistance with transportation, household management, and social and recreation support. So all of those things, if you're helping with that, you could be considered a caregiver. So sometimes people just don't think of that. But that's what they're doing. So caregiving requires patience. It takes energy. It can be overwhelming, can be isolating, but it's also very rewarding as well. So the other thing that's sort of important, and we just want to validate how what your guys' experience is we just want to call it like it is too. So dementia is not a diagnosis you guys ever would have wanted to see. It involves grief and loss, straining mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. It has a tendency to be isolating, alters the future that we pictured for us and the person living with dementia. Sorry for the short form there. And is ever changing and full of adaptations. So we see you guys in what you're going through. So, our role here at the Society is to encourage people to live well with dementia, which can be done. So, we want to ensure that people who are going through that journey have the best quality of life possible for the situation and for you guys as well, as caregivers. So with this, there can be so much pressure. The holidays can go hand in hand with this. It's sort of a part of that in so many ways, but it doesn't have to be that way. So we'll talk first about maybe some strategies and ways that you guys can sort of cope as caregivers, and then we'll move on to some tips as far as the person living with dementia goes. So it'll be sort of a two-part approach. So for you all, If you get overwhelmed leading up to the holidays, that's normal. I should have an honorary master's degree in getting overwhelmed sometimes. What I'll explain is I'm a caregiver myself. It's a different situation. I actually have three children, but two boys with a form of muscular dystrophy. So this is I can very much relate to the caregiving role. I mean, it looks different for everyone, but there's certain things that certainly resonate with me in all of this. So I can absolutely get overwhelmed, and whenever we start to spiral, sometimes I don't know if you guys have ever heard that word or not. But it's important to try to rein ourselves in and just sort of stay in the moment, just breathe and just sort of pause everything. So some strategies behind that, and something that I've learned through time myself is affirmations. I don't know if you guys have heard of that or not. I actually have some on my bulletin board ahead of me. So it's just explaining the truths, what we know with certainty. So they're statements or phrases that are designed to encourage us, to motivate and reinforce a person's self-belief. So instead of saying something like, I am not, instead of saying, I'm not a failure, an affirmation would say, I am capable and successful. Another one is, I am confident and resilient, rather than saying, I will be confident and resilient. So it's just sort of ways, statements that we can encourage ourselves. Meditation is something else, an example. So it helps us to, we use techniques to focus the mind and our breathing and just sort of helping us to stay in the moment. You could also learn about and practice mindfulness as well, read books and articles about wellness, go for a walk. Sometimes fresh air can help the situation, or talk to a friend or family member. I have two girlfriends who live within a mile from me, so we have quite a few phone calls sometimes. So anytime that you start to feel overwhelmed during the holidays, those are some strategies that you can tap into if that's something that works for you. Take a moment to reflect is something else. So it's okay to think about past holidays and feel joy or any other feeling. Knowing this year may have more challenges than the last, that's okay. So acknowledge that. Take some time to reflect. Tears can be helpful. Enjoy the memories for what they are. And this holiday may not be the same as last year, but it can still be really, really good. Try not to focus and stay in the past. So take that moment or moments whenever you need to think about it, but then just sort of park it there. Meet the person living with dementia and yourself where you are right now, not in what it was or what it could be, later on. Think of just the now, and try to focus the best you can on that. Deciding what's important to you. So think of the month of December. We're already a few days into it. What are the events, the visits, the traditions that you would normally participate in this month? Write them down if that's helpful. Highlighting the ones that are the most important to you. So when you are taking on the caregiver role, you're adding something else onto your plate. We all only have a certain amount of capacity and time. So really thinking about what the month of December looks like for you, and deciding, okay, what is the most important? What are the sort of the no compromise things that you'd like to still participate in? And whatever is not highlighted can still be considered if it works for you the day of. So try not to commit to it otherwise. We can jam our schedules if we let ourselves do that. My grandfather was the master of this. Anytime that we would invite him to anything at all, he would say, "Oh, I'll see how it goes." And that really let him off the hook for if he wasn't feeling up to it that day, then he wouldn't feel as though he promised any of us he would go. And then that pressure would be on him. So certainly something that I learned from him. So know your limits. So again, we all only have a certain amount of capacity. As an individual, determine what your own limits are. And once you determine where your capacity ends, put up your figurative, I'm closed for business. Like there's no more that I can take on and stand by that. And this is where boundaries come into play. So as caregivers, boundaries are so very important. We'll touch on that in a minute. Try not to compare yourself to others. This is something that is so prevalent in our society right now. We're seeing what everybody else is doing on social media or whatever we're involved in, and comparison can absolutely be the thief of joy. Something that I really find is hard for myself with accessibility in my home at the first of the summer. I find that really difficult as much as I'm so happy for everyone else and I want people to be enjoying themselves. When I see pictures that my friends and connections share about going to the beach, for instance, that's something that's very difficult for myself and my family to do. So, it's important to just sort of acknowledge, okay, what are the things that are meaningful and important for our family, and try not to compare what you're doing with what other people are doing as well. So wins for others are easier to spot than the losses. So we're seeing all these good things that everybody else is doing, and sometimes it can make ourselves feel a bit bad about what we're able to accomplish or what we're able to do. So everyone is fighting battles. We just may not see them. They may not be there. We all go through phases where things are going well. We need to celebrate that. But being able to celebrate others in their winning phase is important. So if you see things that you wish that you were able to do, but your situation just doesn't allow for that right now, try to just, be happy for those people and kind of shut down or put those boundaries up so you're not facing that a lot. Boundaries. This is probably one of the things that I am the most proud of myself for in my later 30s when I really got good at this. I was always uh, really bad at just saying yes to everything. It didn't matter. No, we're going to make that happen. We're going to do that. Yes, I'm going to take this on. I'll organize the Christmas concert. I'll do this, that, and the other thing. And that's a surefire way to get yourself in burnout mode. So setting boundaries of what you're able to do in this season is really important. So it could be things like, well, I always did the big turkey dinner, or I had this family get together every year and it's tradition. You might not be able to do that this year. So really saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. This role doesn't allow for me to do that at this time. Just sort of explain that. Maybe it's I can't attend every family get together. It just can't happen this year. Please understand. I'm unable to help with the church choir. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. Or I can visit 3 times a week, but I can't stay the night, or I can't do more than that. So just determining what those boundaries are for you, what you can do and what you can't. Sometimes you may get some pushback from people about that because maybe by you doing said things, it makes their life a little easier, so they don't want to see you create those boundaries. So just making sure that you're sort of honoring yourself in what is working for you and the person that you're caring for. So that's just some steps as far as this will be recorded, and you'll have access to this. So if you want to go back on any of these things, you certainly can. It should be posted later today. Focusing on what you can control. This is something I'm sure all of us can learn from. So this image that I posted on here, on the outside, it shows the things, just examples of things that are out of our control. So maybe it's how others spend their holiday. Maybe it's the actions and behaviors of others, travel cancellations, family dynamics, people reacting to their gifts. All of those things on the outside, that's not things that we can control at all. We just can't. Focusing on the things that are in your control will be a gift for you this holiday season. So think about what your boundaries are, what you need as far as self-care, what holiday events you can attend, where your energy needs to go, how you treat yourself, those types of things. So really deciding, all right, what's in my control, what isn't, focus on the things that you can't, and letting go of the rest. This takes a lot of practice, a lot. So I love this, to seek the serenity to accept the things you cannot change, the courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's certainly something that can help. Two things can be true. This is something a friend taught me, actually, and it's been quite valuable. So you can grieve and be sad, but you can also have peace. You can be disappointed that your visits are different, but still be happy to see the person who's living with dementia. You can be excited that for Christmas, and your spouse may not realize there's a holiday. Some things may need to change, but not all. So just knowing that. Gratitude will certainly help. We all need to sort of choose sometimes how we're going to approach things and think about things. I used to have a saying on my wall that said, "Happiness is a choice." Things can be really, really difficult, and we can really dwell on that, or we can express gratitude and show that. So gratitude is when you feel thankful for the good things in your life. Sometimes in the trenches, we forget what those good things are. I've been in the trenches a lot over the years, as I'm sure everyone has. Everyone has their story, but it's important to remind ourselves of these good things that we have going on. Take the time to think about them during the day. Sometimes there can be things that happen where we take a dip and we just are so upset or frustrated or whatever it is. And in those moments, it can be good practice to practice gratitude. And this takes time as well. These are all learned things. Reframing can certainly help as well. So instead of we can't do any of the things we usually do this holiday, think we're going to make new traditions this year. Try to remain positive. That requires effort, but will help you find joy in the holiday. So we can get stressed as caregivers over the holidays, but so can the person that we're caring for as well, or people. So causes of stress and overwhelm, large groups of people can cause stress, new faces or places, loud and frequent noises, being out of their environment, routine disruption, and their own grief, depending on where they're at in the process. But the holidays are just as important for people living with dementia as anyone else, and staying connected is so important for brain health as well. So you guys know your person best and your situation. So depending on where they're at in the progression, use your intuition to really guide you on this. But having them still involved in whatever they can would be great. And there's certain strategies that we can use to help with that. Managing holiday stress, planning ahead will go a long way with this. So we talked about scheduling events in the calendar, deciding, what you're able to do and what you're not, adding in help and support when needed. So if there's something that you really would like to go to, you'd really like to take your person, but that might be a lot for you, depending, recruit help in whatever form that looks like. So tapping into your support system and seeing who's available and scheduling them in. Be well supplied to limit running. So if there's certain things that you know you're going to need over the holidays, you can start adding those on now. I always have notes in my phone, so I can put checklists in there just to make sure that I'm getting the things that I need. I live way up west, so if it's things that I need while I'm in Summerside or Charlottetown, to make sure that I have that so I don't get into a panic. Communicate with your family. So set your priorities, what is really important to you when you're available, setting realistic expectations as well. Oh my goodness, if you all could have seen me a few years ago, it was just ridiculous what I thought I needed to be doing. And I just drove myself into the ground. So it's very liberating whenever you decide, okay, this is what I can do and this is what I can't, and put just have small expectations of yourself. We all need times where we need a bit of grace and being gentle on ourselves. If you're traveling over the holidays, really thinking about that. What supports do you need for accommodations if you're going to be traveling anywheres or visiting, and what you need for transportation. So airlines as well, just kind of making sure that things are organized through them. I travel with my boys and they can be really good and accommodating. It's just that planning ahead piece. So tips for holiday visits. So we have 10 of these that we'll go through. When you are taking your person to visit anywheres or you're having company in, plan your visit during a convenient time. So think about when your person is at their best. Consider moving the visit or event to that particular time. So maybe they're at their best in the morning. Maybe it's in the afternoon. Everybody's different. So just sort of planning that around them and their schedule will ultimately lead to the highest success rate. Aim for few changes in the routine. Routine is so important for people living with dementia. So try not to disrupt that a whole lot. Uh, it can be very difficult to them adjusting. The second one is plan for smaller, more personal interactions. So large get-togethers can cause overstimulation and overwhelm. Actually, probably for a lot of people. If you came to any of our family get-togethers, I am not joking. My sister actually takes earplugs, so it dulls the sound for her. We have a lot of loud people in my family. But for people who are living with dementia, this is especially true. So overstimulation and overwhelm, you don't want that for them. It can make it very difficult for them to focus. If there's a lot of noise going around, challenging for them to hear conversations, just a lot of challenges that can come from that. So more intimate get-togethers, smaller crowds can be much more meaningful for them and be more successful. The quantity, so the number of visits, and the length of time that you're going to be visiting, it doesn't necessarily mean quality. So more time doesn't equal better. More visits doesn't equal better. It's all about that quality engagement that you want to achieve. Consider bringing them to the most meaningful part of the event. So maybe there's an event that is going to be quite lengthy, and there may not be parts of it, depending on how it's structured, that is going to work well for them. So consider bringing them to the most meaningful part. And always having a quiet area available is a good idea. So if there's a space that they can go, maybe a sitting room where it's just quieter. A lot of family get-togethers have a lot of family and a lot of kids. There can be a lot of stuff happening. So that quiet area is a good thing. The third is understanding your person's dementia and its progression. So there's over 100 different types of dementia, and depending on what the underlying condition is, will present different symptoms. So really understanding that and what their challenges are will be good in helping you prepare. Um, Knowing your person's symptoms and communicating those and troubleshooting with those in your family or friends, whoever you're going to be visiting, will be helpful, just so that they're aware. So if communication is something that your person is struggling with, you could maybe talk ahead of time to the people that you'll be visiting or that are coming to see you to explain, okay, these are the things that, would be really helpful. Making sure that you're not talking too fast or saying too many things at once, or making sure that you give them time to really, get their thoughts out. So we have some extra information on that on our website if you want to take a look further. Bringing children, they can bring a lot of energy and joy, and so many people love when children are present. Depending on their age, it would be a really good idea to just inform them, this is what is happening with, whoever, just so that they have a little bit of a heads up on that. And again, on our website, there's information on how to share share what dementia is and, what to expect with children and with teenagers as well. So you may find that. Bring pets if suitable. Not everybody are animal lovers. And my dog, I actually have her in a room downstairs with the door closed right now because she's such a spaz. And taking her into my grandmother's house, for instance, would probably be the worst possible thing I can do. Nanny doesn't overly enjoy animals inside, anyways. They had a farm, loves that, but pets indoors is not a thing for her. And Molly Pearl, my dog, is so full of energy. It wouldn't be a good fit. Let's just put it that way. So if your person really enjoys pets, great. That could be a really great experience for them as long as they're comfortable. Bringing meaningful gifts would bring them so much joy. So, what items would be special for your person? Think about that. And especially not just what they may have always enjoyed or liked, but what would be good for them now, where they're at. So, the holidays can be a great time to look at photo albums and videos, gifts that bring reminiscing. Um, Something that I love, my in-laws actually have this and they love it. It's a frame, it's called Frameo, and family is able to send pictures from their phones into that frame. So they love watching that and seeing, different things that the family is doing. So that is something, but it's even better if you can participate in that. So when we're visiting and my in-laws, they're neither one of them have dementia, but just they enjoy that. They're able to sort of look back if we have older pictures that we can put on, but especially for people who are living with dementia, being able to look through a photo album and talking about things or anything that is meaningful to them from their past, especially, can bring a really great visit too. Having a calm and peaceful environment. So set your person up for success. Reduce any background noise, soft and warm lighting. Ensure that their hearing aids or glasses are on and sit eye to eye with them to help them focus. Know their triggers. What maybe will upset them. Think about that and try to avoid it. Find activities to do together, meeting them where they are. So, what are their current strengths, abilities, and talents? Have them participate in preparations and tasks that have meaning for them. Now, if you were to ask somebody who was never interested in crafting to come and join in a craft, they're probably not going to like that, but it all depends. It all comes back to knowing your person and where they're at right now in their progression, what those strengths are and their interests. So whatever that is and whatever you think they would enjoy, maybe they love going for a drive and maybe they would enjoy watching you get the Christmas tree, for instance. Depending on their mobility, maybe they can go out and watch the whole production. It just thinking about what they enjoy. Nine, involve them in decision making. So make sure the activities are of interest to them. Ask them if that's something that they're able to sort of participate in. Just ask if it's something that they would like. So it could be you saying, "Would you like to watch a movie?" or sit and chat. So limiting those choices too, instead of saying, "Oh, well, what would you like to do today?" Pick a couple of things and have them decide. If just answering yes or no is better for them, you could say, "Would you like to watch a movie?" And they can sort of feel that they have a bit of control over that. It helps with their independence and self-esteem. Don't rush. Shorter visits can be best, but that doesn't mean you should speed through it. It would decrease the quality. The person living with dementia will feel your stress, so try to internally stay, as calm as you can. Try pacing activities throughout the day and respect their need for rest. If they're needing a break or they're sort of done, try to respect that and end the visit whenever they're sort of leading you in that direction. Honoring yourself. and honoring them. So this is just sort of a summary. Uh, so for yourself, plan ahead. That will be so helpful and help with, troubleshooting along the way. So you're being proactive by being involved in this particular session and listening to these strategies. What is important to you? Think about that over the holidays. What do you need to feel well and healthy? Talk with family to decide or explain how this holiday will look. It might be relatively the same as last year, or it could be quite different depending on what the situation is. But just having that communication with the people that you normally celebrate can be helpful. For your person, focus on where they are at right now. What makes them happy, what upsets them, and go with that. For you both, take into account what works for the person living with dementia and you together. Decide what can work as far as things to do together and what supports you would need to make that happen. And maybe what are some things that are important to you to still enjoy that maybe it's best that you do separately and strategize how that can be done. So that sort of wraps things up with our quick half-hour lunch and learn. But do you have any questions? This is just an opportunity for you all to just sort of ask away. And you can always reach out to us after the fact as well. You can contact our main office. Um, and be connected with anyone there if there's any questions or support that you need uh, leading up to Christmas or afterwards. Our office will be closed during the holidays, but we are open right up until Christmas Eve. So we would be happy to help with anything until then, and then we'll open back up in the new year. We just really hope that you guys take care of yourselves and can experience, a wonderful holiday and planning ahead, Margie, you're right, it is so important in accomplishing that. Um, I feel so passionately about the caregiving role. I've been there myself for quite a few years now. So you learn things. It's sort of trial and error sometimes. You just do the best you can with the supports in place and have a village around you. And I want to thank all of you for joining today. I hope that there was some things that you were able to learn in this, or at least, like Margie said, affirm. And we want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas.